On May 8, 1938, in Pennsylvania's Allegheny National Forest, the West family enjoys a Mother's Day picnic filled with laughter and warmth. Marjorie West, a 4-year-old with curly brown hair and big eyes, skips happily in her bright red taffeta dress, the youngest of 8 siblings. She picks wildflowers, handing violets to her mom, Cecilia, with a giggle. Her sister Dorothea, 11, watches as Marjorie chases a butterfly near the forest edge. But in one fleeting moment, the red dress vanishes into the dense pines. No cry is heard, no trace remains. Cecilia screams, "Marjorie, where are you?" Panic grips the family as the forest stays silent. Was a stranger lurking nearby? Did the woods swallow her whole? Or is a darker truth buried in this 87-year-old case? This is Marjorie West's haunting disappearance, a mystery that still chills McKean County. June 2nd, 1933, in the small rural community of White Gravel, McKean County, Pennsylvania, Marjorie West entered the world as the 8th and final child of Shirley and Cecilia West. The Wests were a hard-working farming family living in a modest home on a small plot of land where they grew crops and raised livestock to survive the harsh realities of the Great Depression. From the moment she was born, Marjorie brought a spark of joy to the household with her bright smile and curious nature, becoming the baby of the family that everyone doted on. Little did they know that her short life would end in one of America's most baffling mysteries. The West family toiled daily on their small farm during the Great Depression, a time when money was scarce and every meal was hard-earned. Shirley, the father, worked long hours in the fields, while Cecilia managed the home and cared for the children. Marjorie, with her curly brown hair and sparkling brown eyes, was the light in their lives. She helped with simple chores like collecting eggs or feeding the chickens, her laughter echoing through the farmyard and easing the family's daily struggles. But in rural Pennsylvania, isolation meant neighbors were few, and the vast forest nearby held unknown dangers that no one could predict. By the age of 4, Marjorie had grown into an obedient yet curious child, always eager to explore her surroundings. She loved attending church on Sundays with the family, sitting quietly in her pew, and playing games with her siblings in the yard after. Her favorite outfit was a red taffeta dress, a special gift that made her feel like a princess. With her big brown eyes and infectious giggle, Marjorie was the family's joy, often helping her mother with small tasks and bringing smiles to everyone's faces. Yet her adventurous spirit would soon lead to a day that changed everything. On May 7, 1938, anticipation filled the West home as Cecilia prepared for the Mother's Day picnic. She packed sandwiches made from homemade bread, fresh cakes baked the night before, and jugs of lemonade. Marjorie, excited, helped fold the napkins and chatted about the flowers she planned to pick for her mom. The destination was Chapel Fork in the Allegheny National Forest, a popular spot for local families. Shirley checked the old truck's tires, ensuring it was ready for the 10-mile drive. The family looked forward to a day of relaxation, unaware of the tragedy lurking. Sunday morning, May 8th, dawned clear and promising. The West family loaded their old truck with baskets and blankets. Marjorie sat between her sister Dorothea and brother Alan, singing simple songs as they drove. The road wound through rolling hills and into the thick pines of the Allegheny forest, sunlight filtering through the leaves in a dappled pattern. Cecilia reminded the children to stay close in the woods, a common warning in rural Pennsylvania, where the vast wilderness could be unforgiving. Little Marjorie bounced with excitement, her red dress already on for the special day. The family arrived at Chapel Fork Public Hunting Ground around mid-morning, finding a sunny clearing near the trails. They spread checkered blankets and unpacked the food, with Marjorie helping to arrange the plates. Her red dress stood out brightly against the green foliage, making her easy to spot. Neighbors and other families picnicked nearby, sharing greetings and stories. The air was filled with the scent of pine and fresh earth, and the sound of birdsong added to the idyllic scene. But the dense woods encircling the clearing seemed to watch silently. By noon, the picnic was in full swing. The siblings played tag and hide and seek, while Marjorie collected violets and dandelions from the meadow's edge. She ran to Cecilia, handing her a small bouquet with a beaming smile, saying, "For you, Mommy, because it's your day." Laughter echoed as the family enjoyed sandwiches and cake, sharing stories and enjoying the rare break from farm work. Alan teased Marjorie gently, and Dorothea kept an eye on her little sister. The day felt perfect, but perfection can be fragile. As the afternoon progressed, a local hunter walked past the picnic area, nodding politely to Shirley. He was dressed in typical outdoor gear, carrying a rifle for the hunting ground. 2 cars drove slowly by on a nearby road, their occupants glancing at the families. Shirley waved casually, assuming they were just passers-by enjoying the day. The family continued their meal, unaware that these seemingly innocuous figures might hold a clue to the horror about to unfold. The forest remained quiet, but tension hung in the air like an unspoken warning. Around 2:30 p.m., Marjorie spotted a colorful butterfly fluttering near the trail. She tugged at Cecilia's skirt, eyes wide with excitement, asking, "Can I catch it, Mommy?" Cecilia, busy packing leftovers, nodded with a smile. "Yes, but stay where I can see you, sweetheart." Marjorie skipped toward the forest edge, her red dress fluttering like the butterfly's wings. Dorothea glanced her way, seeing the red spot against the green. It was a moment of innocent joy, but one that would soon turn to nightmare. Dorothea, playing nearby, kept an eye on Marjorie as she ventured near a small clearing, picking more flowers. "She's fine," Dorothea thought, turning away briefly to help Alan with a game. When she looked back moments later, the red dress was no longer visible. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves, but no sound came from Marjorie. Dorothea felt a twinge of worry. The forest was thick, and children could get lost easily. She called out softly, but no answer came. At approximately 3 p.m., Dorothea approached Cecilia, her voice trembling. "I can't see Marjorie anywhere." Cecilia's face paled as she scanned the clearing for the familiar red dress. Nothing but green foliage and distant trees. "Marjorie, come back right now," she shouted, her voice cracking. Shirley jumped up, calling her name louder. The other siblings froze, the picnic's joy evaporating in an instant. Neighbors noticed the commotion and asked what was wrong, but the family's hearts sank with fear. The West family immediately spread out, shouting Marjorie's name repeatedly. Shirley checked the nearby bushes, pushing through thick undergrowth, while Cecilia and Dorothea searched the trail edge where she was last seen. "She couldn't have gone far," Shirley said, trying to stay calm. No torn fabric from her dress, no dropped flowers, no footprints in the soft dirt. Neighbors joined, forming a small chain to comb the area. The sun began dipping, casting long shadows that made the search even more urgent. By 5 p.m., with no sign of Marjorie, Shirley drove to the nearest phone to alert the McKean County Sheriff. Deputies arrived at dusk, bringing bloodhounds and lanterns. They took Marjorie's sweater, letting the dogs sniff it for her scent. The hounds picked up a trail briefly but looped back to the picnic site, confusing the handlers. "It's like she just vanished," one deputy muttered. Cecilia clutched her hands, praying silently as night approached. As dusk turned to night, lanterns pierced the darkness. Volunteers from nearby towns joined, shouting, "Marjorie," in unison. Cecilia stayed by the picnic spot, clutching the wilted flower bouquet Marjorie had given her, tears streaming down her face. The forest, once welcoming, now felt hostile with rustling leaves and unseen animals. Shirley led a group deeper into the pines, but the vast 1,000-acre area seemed endless. Hope clung, but fear grew with every passing hour. Monday morning brought hundreds of searchers. Local farmers, Boy Scouts, oil workers from Bradford. Planes buzzed low over Chapel Fork, scanning for any sign of red. Divers dragged nearby creeks and ponds, while ground teams combed every inch. The Bradford-era newspaper ran headlines like, "Child Lost in Woods," urging more volunteers. Governor Pinchot offered state aid. The Wests, exhausted but determined, joined every group, calling Marjorie's name until their voices hoarsed. A local hunter approached the sheriff with a story. He had seen a scruffy man, tall with a shabby coat and unkempt beard, lingering near the picnic area that day. The man seemed out of place, eyeing the children before disappearing into the woods. Police created a sketch based on the description and circulated it in newspapers. No one came forward to identify him, leaving the family wondering if this was Marjorie's kidnapper. A week after the disappearance, a handwritten note arrived at the West's farm. "We have your girl. Pay $5,000 for her safe return. Wait for further instructions." Shirley, desperate, broadcasted pleas on local radio stations, begging for Marjorie's return. The FBI got involved, analyzing the handwriting and paper. They concluded it was a cruel hoax, likely from someone seeking attention. The family was devastated. Who would toy with their pain like this? A taxi driver in Thomas, West Virginia, reported picking up a man with a crying girl in a red dress matching Marjorie's description. Police rushed to investigate, interviewing the driver and searching the area. It turned out to be a false alarm. The girl was local and accounted for. The West's hope surged with the tip, only to crash into despair again, leaving them emotionally drained from the roller coaster. Another lead came from an Ohio orphanage. A girl resembling Marjorie had been brought in with similar curly hair and age. Investigators traveled there immediately, comparing photos and descriptions. It wasn't her, just a heartbreaking coincidence. Months of such false tips piled up, each one raising the family's spirits only to shatter them. The Wests began to dread new leads, fearing the inevitable disappointment that followed. In 1947, 9 years later, 8-year-old Georgia Jean Weckler vanished from a picnic in Wisconsin, last seen wearing a red ribbon in her hair. The similarities, a picnic, a child in red, sudden disappearance, sparked theories of a serial kidnapper roaming the Midwest. Police compared notes with Marjorie's case, but no concrete links emerged. The Wests wondered if the same person took both girls, adding a layer of terror to their loss. The 1940s brought World War II, dominating headlines and diverting resources. Marjorie's story faded from newspapers as war news took priority. The Wests continued private searches, printing flyers and following tips, but public interest waned. Shirley joined the effort to find his daughter whenever he could, but the family's farm suffered from his absence. The war not only overshadowed the case, but also buried potential clues under layers of forgotten history. Cecilia blamed herself for letting Marjorie wander, replaying the day in her mind every night. Shirley searched the woods repeatedly until his health failed, passing away without answers. Dorothea, who last saw her sister, grew up haunted, often aiding police with memories and sketches. The siblings kept Marjorie's photo in their homes, telling their children about the little girl lost, ensuring her memory lived on despite the pain. In the 1950s, a psychic contacted the Wests, claiming visions of Marjorie alive in a distant town, raised by another family. Police followed the lead, searching the area described, but found no evidence. The family, desperate for closure, clung to such supernatural hints, even if they led nowhere. It was a time when psychics were often consulted in cold cases, offering fleeting hope amid the ongoing torment of uncertainty. In the 2000s, advanced technology revived the case. Ground-penetrating radar scanned Chapel Fork for buried remains, but no anomalies appeared. The NamUse database listed Marjorie with details: 4 feet 2 inches tall, 45 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes, last seen in a red taffeta dress, white hat, blue bloomers. DNA from relatives was entered, waiting for a match that could finally solve the 87-year puzzle. Was it a drifter using the rail lines? A trafficking ring active in the 1930s Pennsylvania? Or a local hunter covering up an accident? Online detectives analyze old newspapers and maps, proposing new search areas. While no breakthroughs come, the community's passion keeps the case alive, with threads garnering thousands of views and comments, inspiring fresh eyes on old clues. In McKean County, Marjorie's story has become local legend. Campfire tales speak of the picnic girl, a ghost in a red dress wandering the woods, calling for her mother. Some hikers claim sightings of a small figure in red, adding a supernatural layer to the tragedy. These stories blend fact with folklore, ensuring Marjorie isn't forgotten, even as the real truth remains buried in the forest's depths. As of 2025, Marjorie West's disappearance is the third oldest unsolved child case in America. McKean County Cold Cases Unit reviews files annually, using modern tools like genetic genealogy. No matches have surfaced yet, but advances in DNA technology offer renewed hope. The family's descendants continue the quest, sharing stories to keep public interest alive, praying for the day when a tip or test reveals what happened to little Marjorie. What do you believe happened to Marjorie? Was it an abduction by the scruffy man described by the hunter, a tragic fall into a ravine or creek, or something more sinister like a cover-up? Comment your theories below. True crime communities have solved cases before, and your insight could be the key to unlocking this 87-year enigma. Share this video to spread awareness and help find answers. Marjorie West's red dress may have faded from memory, but her story endures as a reminder of how quickly joy can turn to tragedy. Thanks for joining Dark Rift Files on this deep dive into one of America's oldest unsolved mysteries. Subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and stay tuned for more chilling cases, because some secrets from the past are still waiting to be uncovered in the shadows.